Hi, and welcome to The Ring is Chosen. I'm your host, Cliff, and with me filling in for Crystal is Seth.
I'm Seth.
We got a light week this week, but Days of Future Past HeroClix! I'm super excited.
Me too.
So, thank you for joining us for another week of comic book geekery and all sorts of other nonsense. Let's get started with some comics. Aquaman issue 31. It's Swamp Thing, and it's awesome! So, Aquaman and, oh man, what's her name? Awara? Why do I always mess up her name? Because I always mess up her name. Because I'm doing that thing again.
Who is she?
She's one of the others.
Okay.
And I adore her. Of all the others, she's clearly most popular.
Oh, Swamp Thing.
And, this is awful. Okay, so screw it. I can't. All right. So anyhow, she investigates some happenings with Swamp Thing that Aquaman is unaware of. He's actually never dealt with Swamp Thing before, and Swamp Thing is like, no, you don't understand. Like, I am like the spirit of the earth, and like you like to solve your problems with your fist. So he ties both of them up, and he really kind of cripples up Aquaman. Aquaman starts summoning like crocodiles, alligators, anything that he can in this marshy swamp to attack Swamp Thing. And they really get into it. And Swamp Thing is like, the threat was here, now it's gone. Yeah. But some really weird, interesting interactions they have. In the meantime, Mera is still on the quest to figure out who the heck was trying to assassinate her and Arthur, and she's with, Tula, Orin's sister, and of course everyone's questioning Mera's judgment, blah, blah, blah. But it's really cool because they find out these people who she finds these people who hate all royalty. They got some really cool, nasty purple armor. As usual, Aquaman is still a great book, so, good stuff. Nice.
Any book with Swamp Thing.
And, it's a book with Swamp Thing, too. And then we got Batman Eternal. The art was different this week, but you got a big, huge collaborative team. It was a little softer.
Change from time to time.
Yeah, but this was definitely the softest of all the art we've had, I think.
I'll have to catch up.
Still good story. Stephanie nearly gets assassinated because she's in a phone booth waiting for her mom to pick her up or something, and then some guy pulls her.
Didn't she just show up last week or the week before?
Issue 3. We're in issue 8.
Oh wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, so she's still waiting to hear back from her mom or something. Some guy's like, "You've been at this phone booth for hours!" Raw. Pulls her out of the phone booth. He gets killed, and she's like, "Holy cow!" Next morning, Vicky Vale is there with the police, and I forgot who from the cops is telling Vicky Vale, no, this is serious.
Right.
We gotta look out for our people, blah, blah, blah. And, Vicky Vale's doing the story. And in the meantime, the new commissioner is luring Batman into a trap. And he's got all these dudes there with guns, hiding in the dark. Batman shows up, they try to have a talk, and he's like, "Nope, Batman, you're being hunted. There's gunfire, smoke grenades, everything." Gordon has a gun to Batman's head. But Batman escapes, of course.
Right.
Because Gordon's not really hunting Batman.
As he's prone to do.
Right. And then they smash Batman's bat signal, and they're like, "That's it, we've had enough of this." And Batman goes back to the Batcave, and he's like, "Alfred, this is the worst thing that could be happening right now." He's like, freaking Falcone's back in the city. He wants to change the future of Gotham. He's like, "This sucks." He's like, I need to find out what's going on. And he's like, "I need more information." So, of course, he travels to freaking Hong Kong,
okay,
where Catwoman is there because, of course, as you know from last issue, she's trying to, take over Penguin's criminal empire.
Right.
And so she's like, "Oh, great, Batman's here." So, more fun stuff.
So is Gordon still on the police force currently?
He's still on the police force,
He's just demoted from commissioner?
He's demoted.
Okay.
We got the new commissioner who's just a jerk-off.
Oh, douche, yeah.
Yeah. Flash.
Gotham City.
It's craziness. Flash 31.
That's a cool cover.
It's a cool cover. It was actually a pretty cool issue. So we got Future Flash moving back through time. Still trying to help people and do the right thing, but apparently he's bleeding time as he moves backward, and he's trying to fix everything. He's also leaving his villains to die.
That's interesting.
Because I guess they've caused enough suffering. So, he's from 20 years in the future. I thought Future Flash was definitely Wally West.
Right.
Now I'm not sure. Now I think it's a twisted...
Now he's leaving people to die, yeah.
Right, now I think it's twisted Barry, who can't get over the fact that Wally died in the past.
Maybe, yeah.
So, I'm up in the air about this. Pretty good issue. Brett Booth's work actually is pretty good. I just wish that people paired well with each other. I'm not sure that the whole art team gels because some pages don't make visual sense.
Right.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. And because like Barry in the present is really pressed for time, when he's zooming through the streets, there's like electricity. But like when he's searching a room, it's just cuts of him as a blur, which I think is more natural. I want to see him moving through the streets as a blur more because I think that's more natural. I think the electricity is really when like I need to.
That's what made me really excited about the Flash trailer, is that showed that they're gonna do. It looks like at least they're gonna do a lot of that red and yellow streak. Like
right.
When he was running up the car to save that guy from like being hit by the car or whatever, you saw that nice like trail that I like to see with the Flash from him running.
Yeah. So I want to see that blend, and I want to see it like utilized properly rather than constantly all this electrical. I don't feel like that should always be there. I feel like that should be there where like Flash is like, I need
something really crazy,
the momentum. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be crazy. Like it's got to be epic Justice League level or high threat
going
level.
Down. Like,
exactly.
Yep.
Good issue. I was very pleased, surprisingly pleased. I'm actually pretty excited about Flash.
Now, I have a question about this already.
This was insane. Future's in number 4.
Is that Etrigan?
No, this is freaking.
Oh, that's Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
Oh, I couldn't really see.
And that's Amethyst in there.
Yeah, it just looked like it's some sort of demon, but yeah, that's definitely Frankenstein.
Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld. So Shade, where Frankenstein works for Shade, she's also now working for Shade.
Okay.
And I guess in the past they've worked together in Justice League Dark, which I guess we're getting some of that in Justice League Dark now. And she looks all messed up in the future, in the near future. And as we saw in Zero Issue, super messed up in the far future as is Frankenstein. And they're kind of like, they're not super happy about working with each other at Shade. They have some issues. But he actually had a lot of respect for her. And then he was like, with someone I have with such respect, why are you at Shade? Because I don't really have a lot of respect for these people. I'm like forced to work with them. So like that was kind of cool. The other subplot is Lois Lane is still following around Tim Drake, who's calling himself Cal, or something, right? And he's like jogging with his girlfriend, and he sees images of Batman of the future, Terry McGinnis, and he's like, oh, Bruce is just milling them out, isn't he? And she's like, what's wrong, Cal? What's wrong? He's like, nothing. And he like runs in the other direction on their jog.
Right.
And so Lois is like, oh, I have to have a conversation with you. 'Cause she's, of course, following around in her little jogging outfit. Yeah, purple, of course. Purple and black, of course. Which I think is a funny... every time I see Lois in purple, I feel like it's a nod to Superman the Animated Series. Because she was always in the purple top, white dress.
It's fair. It's a fair correlation, to say the least.
Yeah, so...
I would probably think the same thing if I were...
I think Lois's color is purple.
More.
So, I thought that was fun. Still another great issue. Oh, Grifter has a cool moment in here where he's investigating Terry Tech, and also Shade is investigating what's going on with Stormwatch. So, Stormwatch hasn't shown up yet, but there's definitely a subplot happening with Stormwatch, and I guess Hawkman's a member, so we're going to be seeing more of them too. I mean, we got 52 weeks of this. So there's a whole lot of room for a whole lot of storytelling.
Interesting.
All right, this one was a whole bag of crazy.
Whole bag.
Guardians of the Galaxy number 15.
And now with Captain Marvel.
With Captain Marvel, which they've been appearing in her book. She's barely in this issue. This issue was mostly about everyone on their own separate adventure. Raccoon is strapped onto a table, being interrogated. Thanos' daughter, Gamora. Gamora's fighting for her life. Everyone thinks that she knows where Thanos is hiding or what Thanos is up to, because of course, he's been kind of like removed from time and space by the Illuminati Avengers, or New Avengers. I call them the Illuminati Avengers because they have him like trapped in a cube. Groot is kidnapped by the Brood and then like dumped onto a planet where he's like smashed into bits, and he's like, I'm Groot, and he's just lying there in this desolate world. It is terrible. And then Venom, who's been left with them by Iron Man, who is
there?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And who of course is our buddy Flash Thompson. He is approached by Captain Britain's Secret Avengers, which I'm like, this makes no sense, what is going on, who turn out to be a bunch of Skrulls who start assaulting him. And then to top it off, because this is clearly not spoiler free, we have Star-Lord, who's also being pranced around under attack, and he's being held captive, and he's like, screw you guys, and he's like leaping for his life to try to make some kind of crazy last-ditch effort to escape and try to rescue his friends. So, great issue, and if Captain Marvel's in it, I don't even remember her, because, yeah, zero...
One of those ones where they put her right on the issue.
Yeah, right on the issue, and like, yeah, why is she on the cover when there's like zero mention of her? You know, and a cool...
I always hate that.
Yeah, cool interaction.
Whoa.
With
Is that a go back a page there? Is that female Thor?
It's Valkyrie.
Oh, okay.
And she's Asgardian. There's a cool moment because Drax is also being interrogated, and he's like threatening Gladiator of the Shi'ar, which I think is hilarious because, you know, Gladiator gets more powerful the more confident he is he can defeat you.
Right.
So it's like, no, you're not. You're not going to defeat me, Drax. Like,
yeah.
You were built to defeat Thanos. We all buy that, but you're not going to defeat me.
I didn't know that about Drax.
Okay, so I'm super excited. Ms. Marvel number 4. Kayla Kahn. Guess what? The issue has arrived. She stops transforming into a white woman to become the hero she deserves to be, and I couldn't love it more.
That's what I forgot you were telling me about that.
I've always enjoyed this book, but I'm so excited that she makes herself a costume so that she can go and be a hero on her own. That she can use her weird shape-shifting abilities with pride. Not turning into a blonde white woman. And the issue's really good, and her friend who she rescues, she finally comes out to him as having superpowers, and it's beautiful, and it continues with her and her crazy relationship with her family, and all the wonderful good things that we've enjoyed in previous issues, and finally, before even issue 5, because you know 5 was my cutoff, before even issue 5, we're at issue 4, and she finally wants to go out there and be Ms. Marvel, and who she truly is, and I love it.
Nice.
And and go buy this, and everyone go support this freaking book. Do it.
I'm glad you're so satisfied.
I am, because it was like really traumatic
right before
for me.
the issue 5 cutoff too. Issue 4.
Yeah, because I was like 5. I was like, by 5, they don't pull this show together.
I remember you saying that.
I was every time an issue came out, I was like, oh.
Oh, that's what you were reading earlier, Secret Origins.
All right, so I picked up Red Lanterns 31 with my freshest Supergirl. Okay. And it's Blood of the Judge, Part 3. So the Red Lanterns confront the Judge. You know, I thought Supergirl was on her way out, and she still isn't, because they're still involved with their conflict with the Judge. They have their final conflict with the Judge. And, of course, Atrocitus and the Cat are there, and they kind of strike a temporary agreement. And despite the fact that they want to help, the planet that they're on is like, look, we've had enough of your help, and we really don't need it anymore. Please leave. And Guy decides to take the team in a new direction. And also, he is adamant that they go save Rancor, so that's pretty kind of cool.
Oh, that is good.
So,
Rancor.
So I like that, and so we'll see more of that. Supergirl isn't quite free of that Red Lantern, yet, but I guess that is around the corner for her.
Supergirl's a Red Lantern?
Dude.
Oh, I didn't see.
She's been a Red Lantern.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's been for a few months now. It's awesome.
Nice. I gotta be so less lazy.
And there was other books that came out this week, and I'm sorry that my pile is small, but I got here way too late. Secret Origins number 2. And it's featuring Batman, Aquaman, and Starfire. Alright, so okay, let me just kick it off with...
Okay.
Batman's was kind of lame.
Alright.
Batman is sitting in the dark, in the mansion, staring at a bust of his father.
Right.
Okay? I think it's of his father, I hope.
Yeah, probably. Sounds about right.
And, actually, let me double check, because every time he stares at
what are these Secret Origins books exactly?
It's to give you filler.
Just kind of like they're like origin stories?
Yes.
For the characters?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, we already know Batman's origin.
Right, but this is like filler for that origin.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't sound like it's very good filler, but you're...
Well, no, it's decent filler, but I think it's all things we know. So it flashes back...
That's what I was saying, yeah. If they were going to do it, I would imagine that they would do something different and not like...
You would think, but this is like literal filler when it comes to Bruce.
Fair enough.
So we start at this is like 5 or 6 years ago when this story takes place. It doesn't give you a date for 5 or 6 years ago. But then it goes back like 12 years to the murder, 11 years to this training, 7 years to this training, 6 years to him having an encounter with the Red Hood, who beats the crap out of him and is like, you should not have come back here, Bruce, you know? So somewhere between 5-6 years ago, he actually puts on the cowl, and then in that time, he has Dick Grayson Robin, and then Jason Todd Robin, and then Red Robin, and then Damian Robin.
The whole Bat family.
So he has, and Batgirl, and I'm like, so he's got, so like 5 freaking, whole sidekicks to deal with, all happened in those 5 years, and we're all supposed to just accept it and choke that down. So this doesn't help the situation. Aquaman, right, and this has been a huge dispute with the New 52.
5 or 6 years.
Yes.
And all of the Bat family are there. So, like, he has, like, a year turnover rate with them. Like, no, Dick, I'm tired of you. No, Jason.
Yep, like...
Well, I mean, I guess Jason dies still.
And Jason dies, and is resurrected.
And then that quickly, he goes to Tim Drake, and then the Damian thing happens. And
Tim shows up and figures out everyone's identity.
Smushed all together. That's great.
That's the same problem with Green Lantern. All that stuff is supposed to happen in 5 years. So 4 Green Lanterns from Earth, all within a 5-year span.
And all the other crazy stuff, too.
Yeah. So we move on to Aquaman. Aquaman actually shows the origin of his mother, actually interacting with his father. Aquaman actually being raised human, graduating. And the name of the story is actually called Graduation Day, which is kind of cute. And then, of course, him meeting Volku for the first time, who introduces himself as his mother's, like, personal liaison in Atlantis, who wants to, like, fulfill that role with him. And of course, if you read Throne of Atlantis, you know that guy's a douche. But it's actually a really good setup for Aquaman, and that one actually lays foundation for things we have not talked about in the New 52 for Aquaman. And then Starfire, down and dirty. Let's really lay it down for Starfire, because we have not for the New 52. It goes there. We're on Tamaran. She has a nice little upbringing. There's her and her sister. Coriander is meant to have the throne, but the Dominion is there, and the Dominators want Commander to have the throne, and so when she accepts the throne, she tells everyone how she's accepting it, and of course, for those of you who follow Teen Titans, you know that she turns to be Black Star.
Right.
So she takes on the throne, and she is like, and it's with a heavy heart that I have to banish my sister, and so Starfire gets banished into slavery, and she's on the slave camp world, with the Gordanians, who are the big green creatures with the gold armor, and one Gordanian, one day, stops to talk to her, and is like, I'm so sorry, young one, you should be running free, and on behalf of all my people, I apologize for this injustice that's being done to you. But Starfire has been just holding it in for so long, completely unaware of her biological powers that are entitled to her. And she's ask a favor of this person, and he says, oh yes, child, whatever. And all she wants to do in her heart is slap him. But what she does is she lets out one of her solar powered bursts and laser pulses him through the chest. 3 Gordanians come and laser whip her as punishment, and then she's immediately sent to sent to Camp Scientist, where they chain her up, electrocute her, throw her in hot chemical baths, and experiment on her to try and figure out what's wrong with her. And then, of course, that they kind of get the idea that she's solar powered, or she's absorbing energy from somewhere, and that her powers are a little bit emotion based, or that tense up from rage or whatever, kind of like the Teen Titans cartoon. So they make a drug to sedate her constantly. She does befriend a couple of aliens in the camp, one who actually happens to be a Dominator, and she realizes that she has some kind of sense of camaraderie with these people, and they help her, and they secretly train her. They even help her fight the addiction to the drug that sedates her.
Wow.
And over that time, she builds herself up, and she hits puberty, and which of course she barely wears the clothes that I think are appropriate anymore. But she hits a time where she hits puberty, and she actually achieves the power of flight. So she actually has counsel with one of the Gordanian overlords in like a public forum with the prisoners and everything, and he kind of is challenging her insolence, and that's when Starfire actually lets it all out. Her power, her flight, she leads a rebellion, and then you actually see Starfire flying with glee while her comrades in arms are behind her, killing people with their enemies' heads on spears in the background. And of course it celebrates the origin of Starfire. Of all the ones in here, this is the best origin. I gave away the whole freaking book, I'm sorry. This is the best freaking origin in here.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Really dark.
I've been so upset with Starfire's New 52 version,
right,
and how she just came off that thank you, and Scott Liddell did write it, so thank you. He freaking turned it around and gave her a real origin.
That's good.
So I approve. It was crazy.
Turned the character around.
He turned her around. I wish that she had more clothing. That's it. That's as far as I can go with
just
that.
a little bit more modestly.
Yeah, just some pant area.
Yeah, some.
Instead of a U that covers her, just some pants. Or thong.
Like really short shorts even.
Oh man, Aquaman's origin even covers him accidentally killing Black Manta's father. Yeah, it's craziness. Craziness.
But it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the art is beautiful too.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, this is a thong. It's a flying thong.
That's exactly what it is.
It's a thong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It's a flying thong. But look at the beheading in the background.
Let me see. Oh wait, look at that beheading.
Unbelievable. Okay, so Days of Future Past.
I know you're very.
Do we just talk about spoiling the movie, or do we open this stuff and then spoil the movie?
Up to you.
Let's open this stuff and then talk about spoiling the movie.
I know you really want.
That way, at the end, if people want out, they could just be stop watching as soon as
That's a good
the
idea.
spoilering happens.
It's a good thought.
So I actually open all these, and I hid all the cards in here for the figures. So there's actually 24 in the set, and I pulled 19, and somebody gave me one of the figures. And then, of course, there's this guy who we reviewed in the previous episode, but I brought him back because he's pretty and because I'm going to make a point with him.
He is really pretty.
So I've got Ariel, who's actually future Kitty Pryde, because in the comic books, 1980s style, this story took place in 2013, and she is older. Yeah.
Ariel.
Just make sure they're in order.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm crazy.
Of course, no.
So yeah,
I would know the cliff.
So future Kitty Pryde who actually comes back to the past. Future Storm. Who's awesome, and she's been battling Sentinels for 30 years. And she actually has a power that says, I've been battling Sentinels for 30 years, in which she gets a +1.
Oh yeah, it's the first one right there.
She gets a +1 to attack and damage for guys with armor and...
For 30 years.
For armor and the other thing, for armor and robots. Future Colossus, also awesome. He not only does he have charge and stuff, but he also has plasticity. So once he pounds you, he holds on to you.
That's terrifying.
It is. It really is great. And then Mystique, who's rare, because we all know she's a shape-changing troublemaker. And it's her big plot to kill Senator Kelly.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And then part of Mystique's new Brotherhood, aka Freedom Force, Avalanche. And of course, 1980s Wolverine, who starts off with Charge, Flurry, and Blaze Claw's Fangs, and he's awesome and menacing, and I love it. And rare future Wolverine, who's just awesome in front of his little poster of everybody.
Oh, that's that one?
Yep.
Nice.
He's actually featured prominently on the packaging.
Yes, he is, and on the box for this.
And on the box of packaging. And on the front cover. And on the side cover. If I didn't pull him, I was going to be very upset.
It took me a second to find it, but I did.
And 80s Colossus. Because I love him too. And for the future, Franklin Richards. And he's got a marriage duo ability that he shares with Rachel Summers. Franklin Richards is this mutant child of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. Of important notice.
I was about to say, if he was any relation.
Yep. And he's got the Fantastic Four and X-Men team abilities.
Nice.
Senator Kelly, who wants to initiate the Sentinel program.
Senator Robert Kelly.
Senator Robert Kelly. Mystique's friend and lover and everything else, Destiny. With her crossbow that gives her super crazy cool range combat expert powers. Franklin Richards' wife from the future. And Gina Cyclops' daughter, Rachel Summers. So together, when they're adjacent, Rachel gives them both +1 to attack, and he gives them both +1 to defense.
Nice.
One of my favorite members of the X-Men of the past, Angel. He's Defenders, he's X-Men, he's got flights, he's got sidestep, he's got charge. He gives adjacent X-Men and Defenders, X-Men and Defenders. So if they're one or the other and they're with him, they get both team affiliation powers. I love it. Awesome. Love that guy. And he's got the celebrity keyword, which could be amazing if used properly. And we got Moira McTaggart. Not only does she get an 11 attack when she goes to heal, she also has a special trait that allows you to... Actually, she stops the capture ability, which is great when you're fighting a bunch of these guys. Who have multiple dials, in case I didn't go on about that.
You did.
Oh my god. Rare Past Storm. With her little hurricane and crazy amounts of powers. And then of course, Raven Darkhome's son, Nightcrawler. Because Mystique had to have a boy. And you know, the first thing that's ever mentioned is actually in Days of Future Past, when they're confronting each other, and he's like, "What do you know about me?" And she goes, "Maybe you should ask the woman who raised you." And then like she names her, and it's like crazy. He's like, "What do you know about my mother? What is this?" Also from Freedom Force, it's the Blob. There's actually quite the Freedom Force team happening over here. And to round out Freedom Force, Pyro. And it's not Days of Future Past. I'm blood. It's not Days of Future Past without the Sentinels.
It's not Days of Future Past without the Sentinels.
And it's especially not Days of Future Past without Sentinel Alpha 3. And then I have 3 more duplicates in here. So, I just need to tell you how tickled pink I am by this. Because you can play the big Sentinel at least 150 points. The little Sentinels you can play at 150 or 125 or 50 points each. And Sentinel Alpha Prime you can also play at 150. So, and there's also Nimrod in this set if you're lucky to pull him, because he's super chase and it's crazy to pull him. Because we went through 4 boxes between 3 of us in the store yesterday, and my friend Kevin managed to pull it all, and it was crazy in his case. Let me tell you. But you could build a massive Sentinel team to fight mutants, and it's ridiculous and amazing. So yeah, I'm really impressed. It's crazy. But this set is beautiful, and I love it. And I need Future Magneto, and I need Xavier, and
I was just about to say there's no Charles or Eric.
Yeah, because they're rare, and I need so I need Charles, I need Eric, I need which is Xavier and Magneto.
Oh, it was Kevin that got both of them, right?
He got everything.
Yeah.
And who else do I need? I need Sentinel. What's his? Just Nimrod. I need the two of them and Nimrod. And who else is rare? I need two more.
Wait, you have Eric.
I don't have them.
I mean, on the list so far, there's Eric, Charles, and then Nimrod.
Yep.
And there's two others that you can't think of.
Yep, and Nimrod being the chase.
Would be Trask be one of them?
Nope.
No.
Bolivar Trask isn't. Because Bolivar Trask was not the enemy in this story.
Robert Kelly was the one that came up with that.
Robert Kelly was Senator Robert
Well, I mean,
Kelly.
I thought maybe Trask was involved just because he was the creator of the Sentinels. But I haven't read these Future Past.
Yeah.
What do I know?
No, it's Kelly passing the bill. That's the big old problem.
Right.
And Mystique pulling the trigger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I know that. But since the Sentinels were a big part of that, I thought maybe. But I don't know who else it would be.
Yeah. I'm sorry we have to postpone the book club, but I gave you lots of little taste.
Kitty Pryde?
Hmm?
Kitty Pryde?
Kitty Pryde.
She's one of them?
Yeah, the regular Kitty Pryde, because this one's just Ariel.
Right.
I wonder if they're on the box.
I mean, I was going to say maybe Wolverine, but you have both.
I have the Wolverine.
Right. You have both.
Yep, it's Kitty Pryde. And Xavier and Magneto. And I've got 20 out of 25, and I named 4 of the ones I need. Oh well. It's a good time. I'm sorry I can't remember the other one because I'm losing it.
You'll remember it before next week, I'm sure.
I know, and that'll be too bad.
Yeah.
So we should talk about the movie really quick.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. Fantastic.
I'm probably going to compare the movie to the book
That's
in a
fine.
lot of ways.
That's fine.
All right. So first,
I'm interested to learn.
All right. So first interesting thing about the movie versus the book. So in the book, we have future Kate, who Rachel uses her psychic ability to send Kitty's mind back into her 1980 body from the future of 2013. It is so hysterical that we're in 2014 watching a movie based on this, by the way. I can't even handle it.
Oh, the book actually was 2013?
Yeah, is their future.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay?
That is funny.
So she gets sent back to her young body in 1980, okay? And this is our introduction to Rachel for the first time ever, even though we don't really know who she is.
But she was the one that did the mumbo jumbo in the book.
Right, she's the one who does it because she's using psychic powers, which makes immediate and deliberate sense, right? Now, we can't have Kitty go back because Kitty isn't even alive in the 70s in this X universe. But Wolverine is. So how do we twist things around but still use Kitty? It's Kitty's ability that it phases people through time.
I was literally just about to ask how Kitty was able to do it in the movie, but because she phases, okay.
Right. So, Kitty is actually phasing your mind through time.
Back into your consciousness through time, back into your old body.
Right. And because Wolverine can handle the trip because of his regeneration, decades, Wolverine is the ultimate candidate.
Anyone else, she says, she can send back, what was it like?
A month maximum.
A month max, and then after that, their mind just gets ripped apart. Wolverine's like, hey, what if someone's mind can heal as fast as it's being ripped apart? And they're all just like, oh yeah, you can totally do that. And then
Wolverine gets sent back.
Yep.
And hence we have the Days of Future Past version, but Kitty still has a very prominent role in the movie. So that's cool. In the comic, it's her big old plan.
Okay.
Even though Destiny is the one ready to execute it, and Destiny actually has psychic powers.
Right.
And she's the one foreseeing that this is actually a great thing that they're doing.
Okay.
You know, but her vision isn't that far. Her vision power at that time isn't so far out.
Right.
You know.
So she can see the immediate future and like the immediate things that are going to happen, immediate consequences, but she doesn't see far enough into the future to where everything's dark and awful.
Right. However,
for everybody,
when Kate arrives, it sets off her psychic ability to go, there is something going on that I cannot see. There is a variable that is actually upsetting the balance of my abilities.
Right.
And that's like the first time it's ever happened to her, so she's like, this is a big deal.
Right. I like that you're using the HeroClix figures. It's good.
Right. Now, at this point in time, Mystique has just taken over the Brotherhood, and she's assembled Freedom Force with Blob and Pyro and Avalanche.
Okay.
And Blob is not really having it. They're kind of like used to working for Magneto. And,
right, yeah.
And they don't know how they feel about working with. They don't know how they feel about working for a woman.
Well, yeah, answering to Mystique when they're used to answering to Magneto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of cool element. In the movie, Magneto's locked up. Okay, and Mystique is completely acting on her own, doing her own thing, trying to rescue mutants who are former friends of hers, any which way she can. So kind of a cool counter argument. Xavier is like sitting around at home, like, you know, all upset because his teachers and his students from the school he tried to build were all drafted off to the Vietnam War.
Right.
And he's lost a lot of them that way, and it's just made him depressed. And of course, his psychic powers are still at a point in his life where he's just hearing too much, which that kind of side plot bothered me too much, because in X-Men First Class, did he mention how he was losing sleep at night because it was just all of this was just echoing too much in his head? Or do you think because there was so much civil unrest in that era that it was just affecting his mind too much?
Well, I think it might have been because of the civil unrest, but I think it was also just he was in a weaker mental state. Like you said, he lost like everything that he worked so hard for, and I think he was just in a point where he was kind of too mentally weak to tune it out. And like you said, there might have been louder too because of all the bad things that were happening. That on top of the fact he's constantly being reminded of everyone else's pain on top of his pain, and he can't even, or he feels that he can't even do anything to help stop these people's pain because of the fact that he was in a point where he was like, wow, like I'm really doing something. And then this war came along and was like, no, all of them are coming with me, like so.
Which, by the way, I also feel like that's bullcrap because I'm like, come on, Xavier, why did you let that happen?
I did find that.
You know, because why didn't you just, everyone who came to your door trying to take your students.
Why didn't you just.
Right, why didn't you just go, no, you can't have them.
These are not the students you're looking for.
Exactly. You don't want my students. Yep. You don't want my teachers.
Or maybe you made that and they just kept sending more.
Maybe that could be, but I'm just saying, like, why, you know, I don't know, because
maybe they all showed up wearing Magneto helmets.
I doubt it, because they really didn't know.
I'm just making
but this is my problem, because, you know what, I know it's younger Xavier, so I'm going to forgive him, because all I can think of is older Xavier from the end of X-Men 1, who was like, Eric, I feel sorry for the poor soul who comes knocking on my school's door looking for trouble.
That's true.
And then X-Men 2 sold it when some buttholes came knocking on their door looking for trouble.
I think that's another thing, too, is that, which you're right, they totally did sell that in X-Men 2. They went to full lockdown mode.
That was awesome. It was like, save the students. Colossus was like,
but I loved it, too, when the firing squad is set up and Wolverine's charging down the hallway and they're all loading into him and he's just coming and they all have this look of terror in their eyes. Like, what is happening?
And then Iceman just makes the wall.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, they're not getting through that.
But, well, another thing that I forgot when we were talking about Xavier's weakened mental state is he also is at the point where he lost the use of his legs. Like, not necessarily because he lost the use of his legs, but the fact that the way that happened was also, like, the rift that was dividing between him and, like, his best friend. Like he friends, yeah. He had Eric
and Raven.
And Raven. Oh yeah, it's true. Raven too. Well, Raven's probably even a bigger loss to him.
Yeah, because he grew up.
So
with her.
he lost all of that, and then on top of that, this war happens, and he feels powerless because he doesn't have his legs, and then they take his students away. Which, like you said, I still don't understand why he let that happen, but it might have had something to do with the fact that he was like tormenting himself over the fact that he lost Raven, who he even says in the movie that he raised her, and someone's like, no, you were her friend. Like, you were a child
She says it to her.
Yeah.
She says it to him. In the first movie, she goes,
Oh, that's right. I was watching
Right.
First Class.
She's
yeah.
like, no, I'm not your responsibility. We grew up together, Charles,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I love because I love that she still is enough of her own character
Yeah.
to be like, don't make me put you in your place. And by the way, she constantly puts him in his place in this
constantly.
movie, and I don't feel she's wrong.
Oh, no,
I
not
mean, there's a
entirely.
couple points where I'm like, whoa, girl, you do need to simmer down
Yeah.
and put it into perspective
Yeah.
and think about what just happened here. You need to rein it in.
But like when you look at everything that's going on,
No,
in
she's
her
not.
head and
She's
everything,
no,
she's not wrong.
No, she's not. No, she's not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
And there is a point where she realizes just how wrong she could be,
yeah.
which I enjoy.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, they definitely give her that redemption for sure.
No, which is great, and that's
Yeah.
one of the cool things about how the movie ends on several notes, and she is one of the better ones. And we'll get to that. So yeah, there's not lots of great Easter eggs.
Oh,
You know,
fantastic Easter egg.
Quicksilver, awesome.
Yeah, Quicksilver scene was awesome.
And he's got more than one scene that's, I mean, he's got the
Well, yeah, but I mean, like his main like scene is.
It's like a double scene.
It's fantastic, but then like I feel like the movie was just. I felt like Days of Future Past to me was just like, here's Quicksilver. He's not cheesy like you thought he's gonna be. He's awesome, and he's not in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, but he's already signed up for the next
But
one.
he signed on for the next one, which is fantastic, and I can't wait to see more of him. But it was just disappointing for me because I fell in love with him, and then they were just like,
Well, I think they weren't sure how everyone's gonna feel, so it's like,
no,
let's
well, you got to test the waters a little bit. I understand. I'm just
literally
I can't.
testing the waters with his scene with the shower with the
I forgot
water
about
running.
that. Yeah, literally testing water.
Because it was the fire alarm is running, so the water's everywhere, guns are blazing, and he's like, Super
Time
speed.
stands still. Let me run over here. Let me move this bullet, move that bullet, move that bullet.
punch this guy, remove that gun,
Move these guys' arms so that way they hit each other in the face with their guns. It was fantastic. He's just having a good time. He puts on some, what is that, like Led Zeppelin or something? Some old, like...
Pink Floyd.
Oh, was it Pink Floyd?
He's wearing the shirt and everything.
I forgot. I thought it was, I was
hilarious.
basing it off of the shirt, and for some reason I thought it was Led Zeppelin, but I knew it was an older song. Like, I knew it correlated to the shirt. That's enough. I just had my facts confused. I forget things. You know this.
Dark Side of the Moon, man. Come on, it was so appropriate.
You barely see the shirt.
By the way, they did not do the full shot of her, but he is holding a little girl, aka his sister, in the living room at the end of the movie. So even though they were like downplayed that he had a sister, it's not completely removed from the scene that he's holding a girl. Although I did have to explain to somebody who was watching the movie that he's not holding a stuffed animal or a monkey. That's a little girl in his arms when he's watching Magneto on television. Also, I like that his mother reacts to him seeing Magneto on the television. Because,
I didn't even...
you didn't even think about that. Because she comes, because she looks into the room and she sees him seeing Magneto, and she's like, and so I'm like,
I think my reaction was just that she was shocked by the crazy stuff that was going down. But you're totally right, because earlier, like I was saying, I really loved the little, they put the little Easter egg of Quicksilver. Oh, you can control metal? My mom knew someone who could do that. So that's funny, that in combination with the reaction later, that's fantastic. I love it.
Right, and remember when
It just begs the question about his sister.
right, hey, Magneto made a couple of visits to that household or to that lady, and they never say her name, but she's probably Magda. So ooh, we got all sorts of cool future X-Men, even though they all had to die horribly.
Yes, before the timeline was reset.
Yep.
But yes, they did. They really pulled the heartstrings in that scene, like that scene where Blink is fighting the Sentinels and she's throwing was that scene not awesome?
Oh, was they made
She's like
beautiful
when she's trying to trying desperately to evade the Sentinels, and she's like throwing portals and jumping jumping through that one
and making the portals, the Sentinels attack each other with the portals.
Awesome, great scene. That whole scene of kind of the wreckage was just awesome, and lots of crazy action, and really sold the X-Men fighting for their lives.
Yeah. Also, the budget was put to great use.
Oh, yeah.
Special effects
They
galore.
were fantastic.
Even though some of these special effects were obvious, like Magneto like floating after the train with the Sentinels and then ripping up the bars to infuse the metal into them.
Yeah.
You know, the ripping up of the bars, I was like, okay, so this is some serious green screen. But like everything else was like perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I love the metal infusing into the Sentinels. Blink's whole performance with that was great. The Magneto Storm hurl the Blackbird
yeah.
super combo.
That was awesome.
Awesome. I
Yep.
was like,
I forgot all about that.
I was like,
She
screw.
throws it and she just hits it with the lightning.
I was like, screw the fastball special.
Yep.
Y'all just went the extra freaking mile with this.
That's actually what it reminded me of. I thought about in the theater too. I was like, oh, that's like Colossus and Wolverine.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Was what's his name hiding in there too? Was Sunspot hiding in there till she blew it up and then he like flew out of it?
Oh, he might have been.
Because I don't know. I think he like added to the explosion and then like flew out of it.
He might have, yeah, because that definitely exploded very violently.
Yeah, because I was like, because then I'm thinking that was like a triple team up like power explosion. I was like, this is crazy. But they all like put on a big show. Love that.
Past Magneto, we were having the discussion of flying or super hovering.
It was
definitely super hovering, or was
it was near flying.
It was near
because at
flying.
the end when he's like I gotta be after you, Charles, and Charles is like, go. And he's just like
forgot about that.
and he just like flies.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so it's not Superman flying, but that was some serious like whoosh.
Yeah.
You know,
I forgot he didn't
whoosh,
do
but he
that.
just
I was
fly.
just thinking about when he was floating around with the
carrying an entire stadium.
The whole time I was just thinking, I was like, what are you doing with that, you crazy bastard? It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing with the stadium right now? And then finally he just drops it down around the White House and comes down. I was like, no, you were so. And then the Sentinels all around this house. I was like, this got so dark so quick.
Yes, because like first it seems crazy, but then he does it. You're like,
he had this shit planned. Like he knew exactly what he was doing.
And you're like, you are such a dirty bastard. Magneto's dirty.
He's a dirty bastard.
He is dirty. And then he just drops it there, and then he attacks the White House, and he pulls the freaking, what do you call that room? The safe room?
Like the safe room.
The panic room?
Yeah.
He pulls the White House panic room right
the panel
out
right
through
yeah.
the White House onto the lawn and rips it open.
Yep, because they're all hiding down there.
And then pulls their guns on them, X-Men 1 style, by the way.
I did, yep, that was totally X-Men 1.
And like cocks all the guns on them. And I was like, this is crazy. And then, because we're spoiling everything, you know, and the president is Nixon.
Yeah.
The president comes forward and is like, you don't have to do this, but of course the president is really Mystique. And the real president is hiding with his servicemen and freaking Trask, and Mystique is the one trying to appeal to Magneto's better nature, but as the president.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course, he pulls his crap because the Sentinels can still recognize what a mutant is, and Beast, using some of the formula to make himself human that you normally use on Xavier, but Xavier stopped using it so he could get back his mental powers and pull his crap together.
Oh yeah, so what was the significance of Beast like injecting himself with a bunch of that?
So that the Sentinel would not read him as mutant. Because if you remember, the Sentinel's watching him and it says mutant, 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 and then it says human, and then it pulls away. And then it looks at Magneto.
I gotta stop going to movies at 10 o'clock, I'm too tired.
Right. And then when it turns around, it sees Magneto, and it sees Mystique, and it sees both of them as mutants, and it starts to attack, and when it starts to attack, it reveals that the president is really Mystique, and Magneto's like, what are you doing? And then, of course, to the public who's watching on all the cameras, because Magneto's using all the cameras from all three networks and PBS.
They do make a joke about that.
No, that's the funny thing. To us, it's a joke. To them, it's a matter of fact statement.
No, I know. That's what I was saying, is because they say to Wolverine, all three channels in PBS, and he goes, oh, all three channels, like, because this is future Wolverine.
Right.
Like, who's just like, oh. Very
and Beast is like, and PBS.
Yeah.
And
Wolverine's
Wolverine's
the sarcasm just goes right over Beast's head. He's so excited. Wolverine's just like, oh, all three channels, really.
and Beast has
so proud of himself.
because Beast has a room full of equipment dedicated to monitoring
of equipment and how nerdy he was about it.
Right, and it's
he was like, look at this, look at this, look at this.
Right, it's like dedicated to monitoring and recording like television, and you're like, oh, Beast. Even when the VCR comes out, it's gonna be so much more magnificent than this.
But he's so proud of it for being so cutting edge.
Right, and it's like... And
he's like, I configured all of this myself.
And it's like, this room is a disaster. It's like, the VCR will come and it's going to shatter your
It's going to, like, make, like, 90% of the equipment you have in this room completely unnecessary.
I mean, I was going to say, if we took that Beast to run to the present to see, he would have a heart attack. The cloud, Netflix, DVR.
I mean... And just speaking of Beast, and I've said it before, but I really love Nicholas Hoult and his
he's amazing.
His performance of young
and he signed on for the next film as well.
Why is his name escaping me now?
Beast.
Hank, yeah. I love his portrayal of young Hank, but I love when Wolverine first comes to the mansion and he's like giving Wolverine all this crap, and Wolverine just
we're gonna
like,
be great friends.
We're gonna be great friends one day. You just don't know it yet. And turns around and socks him in the face. And Beast is just kind of like, what the hell?
I like the Beast. I do enjoy that Beast comes around to the idea that they'll be friends, but kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Like when he sees the sincerity coming from future Wolverine, he kind of like, he's like, well, we can be buddies. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so like wrap up is
awesome movie.
Awesome movie. They do change some things in the past. Poor Wolverine gets hurled into water with metal barb in his body, courtesy of Magneto. And that's the last thing he remembers in the past. Xavier uses
I was very impressed by his healing abilities, like ability to like push something that like big like out of his body. Like it makes sense, but like at the same time it was just like
but he still needed help. Like it wasn't happening with the war. And remember, that's one of his weaknesses. He can drown.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right,
no, I know. That's why I was terrified. I was like, what is gonna happen? And then like it showed like it coming out, and then he still needed help, obviously.
Yeah. They still had to rescue him.
Yeah.
Wolverine got hurled off into the water. Totally looked like a certain death.
Totally.
Xavier used the maximum of his, at least in that era, the maximum of his ability.
Oh yeah, I wanted to comment on Xavier giving Xavier the hero speech.
Oh, that was pretty. Except that I didn't like the camera angles.
It was filmed weird.
Right. If they had just used the regular filming technique from the trailer, it would have been beautiful.
Yeah.
Because the one from the trailer, you could see who's the guy who plays younger Xavier?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. You could see James McAvoy's tear running down his face.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, it was so poignant and beautiful. It gave me chills. And then I watched the movie, and everything was like dreamy and misty.
I was like, they shot it weird because they wanted it to they really wanted to play up the fact that it was happening like in the mental space inside Wolverine's head.
And they killed it.
And it was weird. Yeah, it was a cool scene though.
It was, but it undersold it.
Yes, I agree.
The speech was beautiful, but
they over-affected it. Yeah.
Right, and it should have started ethereal to give you the astral effect,
and
then cleaned up so they could talk, and then become ethereal again for him to return.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that so that their conversation was like clear.
If they had like as he was coming up, and you can kind of see like Xavier start to form and like something like that, just to show that it is the mind. But then as soon as he was there, it should have been normal for the conversation. And then as they both fade back out, it can kind of get weird again.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. I agree.
All right. Alright, so for conclusion, Magneto gets to live to see another day. Mystique, after a mental conversation with Xavier, he's like, look, all you've done today has been a hero. Do not shoot Trask.
Yeah, do not ruin that.
Right, don't ruin this. Don't fulfill a dark future. And it's like, and of course Hank is like saying, shut her down, shut her down, shut her down. And he's like, and you know what? He's like, Mystique, all I've ever done is try to control you. And he's like, and I'm not going to do that. He's like, I'm just going to let you do whatever you think you have to do, but I'm just telling you, just don't be this person that I don't think you really are.
Right.
Which was, like, beautiful. And it just worked out. And, of course, she decided not to be that person. She didn't kill Trask. Trask is exposed for the monster he is.
And doesn't Xavier because like in the whole, when he has the conversation with himself, future Xavier says something about like just because a person lost their way for a little while,
just because they stumble
doesn't mean they're lost forever. And then past Xavier goes on to say that about Mystique, right?
And yeah, he says it to Hank about Mystique.
To somebody, yeah.
When they're watching the footage on all 3 networks plus PBS.
Yes, which is very impressive.
So that happens. Mystique decides to go her own way. Magneto has already left. Hank and Xavier are kind of there to pick up the pieces, but nobody even really notices them because they're kind of to the side, so I think they just get away. And Wolverine wakes up in the future. It's beautiful.
Beautiful, you know.
The
first thing he sees is there's kids in the hallway going to and from class.
With the kid we saw at the beginning of the movie, who is a young man with dark hair and a white streak and a weird eye, which now everyone is saying that's probably Cable. So I think that's kind of cool, or at least Nate Gray.
And then, but yeah, so he wakes up and the Xavier Mansion's in beautiful repair.
Rogue and Iceman are together.
Rogue and Iceman are together.
And they share a kiss.
He runs into Hank, and Hank is alive.
And it's played by Kelsey Grammer.
He's teaching a class in full beast mode.
Yep.
And then he comes downstairs, he's outside of Xavier's office, and he sees Jean. And he goes over to touch her hair, and Scott Summers bats his hand away. And it was beautiful.
And he's like, some things never change.
Yep.
And I was like, Scott will always be the cop block.
He goes over, he kind of walks over, kind of lost looking to Xavier, and Xavier's just like,
What's wrong with you?
What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be teaching a class?
And he's like, what class? And he's like, history? And he's like, I don't know your history.
And Wolverine, he says, I think my history is a bit different. And Xavier just looks at him.
And he's like,
you're back. And
he says, welcome back, old friend.
Welcome back, yeah, and he's so excited, and he's just like, we have things we need to talk about. Like,
he says, tell me the last thing you remember.
I was going to say, I love that scene, because I just love the recognition in Xavier's face when he's just like, welcome back, old friend. He says, I've waited a long time, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just love...
Well, no, the other thing he said to him, he's like, I had a promise to fulfill. Which the only thing Wolverine said to him is like, Scott... He's like, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Storm. He goes, Scott, Jean, Storm. He goes, you have to... He said their full names earlier, but he's like, Scott, Jean, Storm. Promise me you'll remember those names. You have to find your students, you know? So not only did he find them, he kept them alive. So he over-fulfilled on his promise, which I thought was great. And he kept himself alive, too.
And I liked that they had, even if it was only... Yeah, well, I liked how you said Rogue and Iceman were together, but I was just saying I liked that to see Rogue, at least, because we didn't have...
Yeah, because her scenes were cut. Also, I enjoyed that Kitty and Colossus were together, which is something that only occurred in the comics up until this point. And so now we actually got to see it in the movie. And then, the last moment with future Xavier and Wolverine is, what's the last thing you remember? He's like, I was drowning, and cut to the past, and they pull him out, and past Stryker, so we think, is giving orders.
Oh, no, that's past Stryker.
No, it's not. It's Mystique as past Stryker.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I thought you were, sorry.
And past Stryker is like, we can use him, like, save him. And then the eyes glow, and you see it's Mystique, and you're like, so we spoiled the whole movie for you. Oh, except for the after credits scene, which is Apocalypse, which is 4 Horsemen.
4 Horsemen, yeah. See, I didn't see the 4 Horsemen when I saw the after credits scene, so it was kind of misty to me whether or not it was Apocalypse. But I saw the screenshot now of they're kind of in the background there in the distance.
Oh, but I was like, there's 4 horsemen on horses.
I didn't see. I was just like, what is happening? There's people chanting, and he's making.
And they're chanting his Egyptian name.
Well, yeah, I didn't know. I figured it was Apocalypse in Egyptian, but or in some other language, but I wasn't sure because it was in Egyptian, like you said.
It was awesome.
But yeah, it was very awesome. Very good movie. Highly recommended.
I was excited.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another week. Hopefully, we'll be back on track next week. Hopefully, we'll get that book review into. Woo! Eventually. It'll happen. For Days of Future Past. Maybe we'll get the Green Lantern one posted one day.
I thought that's the one you were talking about.
Oh my God, I'm talking about 2 now.
That's why I said eventually, because Green Lantern still hasn't gone up.
Bye, thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.